Energy. Testing, testing.
Testing, testing.
Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Women of Wealth show on Intellectual Radio. Right now, people stated to me that they was needing the phone number. So before we get started, 708-223-8953. Right now, I have a guest that I have grown to love. Right now, she's been on several times in regards to domestic violence situations. So before we kind of get started, I'm going to let her reintroduce herself again to us, tell a little bit about her story. So then we can kind of let you know what's going on with her right now, because she got a surprise announcement kind of to let us know. So right now, without further ado, I would like to welcome Yvette to the show.
Hey,
Yay!
hello. Thank you for having me to the show. Again, my name is Yvette Jones. I am a victim of domestic violence, and I've survived domestic violence twice, actually. One incident where I was shot, and then the other incident where I was beaten in the head with a baseball bat and strangled. So I survived it twice. So I have a purpose of living, and my purpose is living is to tell my story.
Okay, so right now I see some people who's never really been on to hear your story. We're just gonna go over it a little bit. When you were in Mississippi, you lived in Mississippi how many years?
22 years.
22 years. And you was with a man in Mississippi. You was with him the whole 22 years?
No, maybe 18 and a half, 19 years,
18
maybe.
years. Okay, were you married to him?
No, I was not.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about that situation?
Situation was we met in high school. We were very young. We met in high school and stayed together that long, and we have three kids. We ended up moving to Mississippi
So
to
he's
try
from
to better.
Chicago.
Yeah, we're both from Chicago.
Okay.
We both were born and raised in Chicago, and we attended the same high school. We went down there to try to better ourselves and do better things, better living and stuff. But actually, when I moved down south to Mississippi, it was actually I moved in my prison. That's
Okay,
what I called it, my prison.
so you feel like you went to Mississippi and it became a prison for you in Mississippi.
Correct.
Can you tell us a few things he did to make you feel that way?
Oh man, it was the isolation from the family. Isolation, no friends, no phone calls. I was barely allowed to even go to work. Um, I was beaten a lot, threatened, gun up under my chin, threw out of the car on the expressway while we were driving. It's all kind of psychotic things.
Okay, so what actually led you to finally say that enough was enough? What did he do to you for you to actually walk away from that situation?
Enough was enough was when one day I came home from work, and I was just really tired. I was stuck in traffic a long time. I think that's what got him upset because I was stuck in traffic and he had the kids and he wanted to leave. I basically told him to just drop the kids off with the neighbors and I'll pick them up. Apparently, he didn't want to do that. So, by me being late coming home, and I came down the street and saw his car still in the driveway, I was pretty much done. I was tired of the beating, the fighting. And I basically made up my mind that if he was to hit me when I go in the house, it was the last time. And that really what it was. It was the last time.
Okay, now how did you get to the point where you did finally leave? And I know you had told me before you got a phone call. Can we go from the phone call and you went over to his mom's house? Okay, what happened that night?
Yes, I was out partying actually with a whole lot of friends, and my kids was visiting him during that time. And I got a phone call from his mom stating my son had bust his chin. He needed to go to the emergency room. I basically said, he's on his dad insurance. He's visiting his dad. His dad can take him to the hospital. But his sister told me that he was at work. So of course I'm gonna leave stop doing what I'm doing and go see about my son. When I pulled it up, I seen his car in the driveway. So I immediately called in the house, like, okay, his sister answered the phone. I'm like, okay, y'all told me he's at work. Why is his car outside? She basically told me she borrowed the car because she had some things to do and he was still at work.
Okay, how did you get over there?
I a friend took me because I did not drive my car. We was all in one car.
Okay.
We had one designated driver, and basically that person took me over there.
Okay.
And so I told him to hold on, let me go in the house and get my son. I go in. Of course, my son did bust his chin. He was holding the towel over him, and I grabbed him and told him, come on, let's go to the hospital, whatever. So by the time I got to the front door to take a one step down the stairs, he come to the door and he was like, "Oh, so you really came, huh? You really came, And I'm like, "Okay, so why did y'all lie to me? He's still here. Why is he here?" So I tried to hurry up and walk down the stairs to get my son to the car so we can go. By the time I got down to the bottom of the stairs and took two steps, I heard shots. I turned around. He was holding two guns, one in each hand, and he was just shooting towards our direction. My son took off running to the left. I ran straight to the vehicle, got in the vehicle. Shots was being fired still, so I folded up in the bottom of the car on the passenger side, and the bullets was just flying through the vehicle. I basically stayed down until I heard the shots stop. When they stopped, I got up and I looked up. He was reloading. The person I was with, I told him to hurry up, pull off, pull off. So we hurry up and drove off. As we were driving off, we looked to the back. He was still shooting. He had loaded the guns back up and he was shooting again. So we drove off.
Okay. So did you get shot at all?
In the hip.
Okay. He did shoot you in the hip.
Hmm.
Okay. What happened to your son? You said your son, you went right, your son went left. What ended up happening? Did your son get hurt at all?
My son did not get hurt. He was hiding. He was just scared. He was hiding on the block on in one of the neighbors' yard up under the porch. The lady heard the crying or whimpering or whatever, and stopped the police and told the police that somebody was under her stairs, and come to find out it was my son under there.
Okay. And after that, you kind of left Mississippi after you got shot?
I did not leave Mississippi. Of course he left. He was on the run for a while. I did not leave. I actually stayed down there, and actually, I had so much going on doing it at that time because I was planning on going back to school to get my master's. Um, I had plans to get into the law enforcement academy. I had that going. It was just a lot of things I had going that I couldn't really just get up and just leave at that time. So after that happened, no, I did not leave right at the moment.
Okay. You stayed down there. You end up graduating from the police academy, right?
I did.
Okay. All right. What happened after that? Did they find him? Did he ever get back to
They
Mississippi?
did find him. He did come to Chicago. He was in the suburbs. I'm not sure where. I know where, but disclose information. There's certain information I won't give. But they did find him in Chicago and extradited him back to Mississippi.
And what happened to him then?
We ended up going to court. He took a plea bargain,
So how much time
and
did he get
he
for
did
that?
6 years.
Okay, 6 years. So he did what, probably two?
No, he had 12. He did six.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now take us what happened after that.
Oh, after that, it was basically work. Focus on going to school. I focused on my career in law enforcement. I got myself trained to go to the academy. I was hired by the department. I actually worked a whole year with the department as an uncertified law enforcement officer, still an officer, but wasn't allowed to make arrests at the time until I go to the police academy. So I still got into law enforcement. Um, I went to the academy, graduated. Court wasn't really all that bad because of the simple fact he was guilty and he knew that because of all the witnesses, and he didn't want to just prolong it. He just basically took the plea bargain and that was it. I didn't even really have to go to court and testify. It was basically everybody else except me.
So when did you come back to Chicago?
I moved back to Chicago in 2012.
Why?
I had to come back here because my parents got sick. My mom wasn't doing too good. She was in the last stage of Alzheimer's, and my dad had two strokes. I was in Mississippi working two jobs. I was working for two different police departments, one full time, one part time, trying to save money to send to my sister so I can help out with finances for my mom. But because of everything was getting so bad, my sister was overwhelmed and she was getting where it was getting close. I'm like, okay, I need to go home to be with my parents at this time right now instead of just being 900 some miles away and can't see them, So I just moved back home.
Okay, now what happened now that you got back home? I know you met someone when you came back home. Now, how did that work out?
Oh, that started online. Um, we were inboxing back and forth.
Did
During
you
that
know
time,
him previously before y'all started?
I knew of him.
Okay.
You know, how you know a person, but not really know them, and that's just how it was with him. And passing by, just see each other and just keep it moving. So I was, me and my kids came up here in 2010, I think. Um, Visiting, I was going to different police departments and stuff, trying to get a job, looking for a place to live because I knew I was about to make that move. So I was coming back and forth. So during that time when I was coming back and forth, trying to get situated here, that's when I ran into him at a party. And we started talking and exchanged numbers, and all while I was still here in the city, we was hanging out, and stuff. The relationship was long distance. He would come see me, I would come see him.
No, nothing, and everything was fine.
Everything was fine. I didn't see no signs of anything at all.
Right.
Being knowing that I know signs, being that I've been in this relationship so long, so of course I know the signs now. So I'm wide aware, of what's going on. And once I told him I was moving back to Chicago, of course he was happy or whatever. Moved back, things got stronger. Long story short, we end up getting married. Um, I did notice little things right before we got married, as far as the attitude started to change. He was getting angry a lot, always yelling and screaming and cursing me out. And I'm like, okay, what's going on with this? What is wrong with your attitude? But I got a lot on my mind. Okay, whatever's on your mind, we need to talk about it. Stuff like that. Then it got where he started destroying things,
What do you mean destroying things?
like breaking stuff. You know, even if it's a simple CD or a glass,
So he
anything,
just started
just
having tantrums.
temper tantrums like a kid would do, and just weird things that my kids was alarmed of, because like I said, we've been through it so much. So it's like we know what it looks like and how it looks. And I would have a talk with him. And he was, it was some things going on with him during that time, which he probably could have leaned on and used that because that's what I thought it was.
Did you tell him what you were going through? So he
He
knew
had already
exactly. He had
knew.
the blueprint
hmm
as to what you were going through.
Absolutely, he knew everything.
All right. So what made you leave him?
I had just started a new job. I got hired at a psychiatric facility, and they also wanted to cross train me as a dispatcher. Me getting a job, just moving back to Chicago, funds getting low. I'm trying to work. I'm living in my dad's house. Don't want to be there. I gotta work. I ain't been living with nobody in so long. I can't live with anybody. So they was giving me the option to work as much overtime as I wanted. So I'm working 16, 18 hours a day. Me working those hours, he want to accuse me of cheating. My thing is, you supposed to be working too. Why aren't you working? You know what I'm saying? It get to the point where he was getting caught up in so many freaking lies. And I'm normally not the type of person that snoop.
Well, you should. Under the circumstances,
And
you should.
I know, but I just don't do it. I don't snoop. I don't look through pockets, go through phones, and a lot of women do that. I don't do that. But it got to the point where the signs were so strong. I'm like, I gotta be nosy. I gotta see what's going on now.
Wait, one
Decided,
question though. Did he have a job when y'all got married?
mm-hmm,
Okay, so he did work.
mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
he had a job. He was working. Then he was also into music. He made beats into studio and stuff like that with people was rappers. Chicago rappers was playing him pretty good money for that. So he was very talented in what he did. And it got to the point where I would think he's at work and people will be coming into the job like there's a guy running around in the parking lot. Me being an officer, I'm going out there to see what's going on in the parking lot and I see it's him. I'm like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be at work. Or it was too many people on shift. I got off early, stuff like that. I'm like, what are you doing here? Oh, I had came up here to see if you can go to lunch. You know, making up excuses to come up to my job just to see if I'm there. Wandering around in the parking lot, leaving notes, even though they were nice notes, but leaving notes on my car, like, I got to come home to you. Why are you at my job? Stuff like that was alarming, you know. So I'm like, okay, this ain't right because I'm focused on working and trying to get back on my feet for me making a big move, giving up everything I own in Mississippi. Job, house, cars, I gave it all up to move here. So now I got to start from scratch. You want to accuse me of cheating? I ain't got time for that. I don't. The best thing you can do is leave. And I told him, I said, if that's what you feel, you can feel however you want. However, that's not true. But I don't have time for the chaos. So I think it's best that you leave. And he was like, "We just got married." And I said, that's what's really bad because we just got married. And ever since we've been married and I stopped working, it's been nothing but issues every night I come home
How long
because
was you married? How long were you married before he started actually just not trusting you?
maybe a month.
All this happened in a month?
No, it happened within 5 months. Our marriage didn't last 5 months.
All right. So now, when did you decide to say enough was enough?
I was at work. I had worked 16 hours that day. I was really tired. And I came home from work. And he was there, you know. And he grabbed my phone and was like, you been at work? You sure you been at work? I called up there. They said you wasn't there. I said, I told them to tell you I'm not there because I don't like receiving personal phone calls on the job. Call my phone. If you call my phone, I don't answer, that mean I can't answer. It's a reason. That don't mean you call my job. And I was like, you can't do that. I'm just starting a job. I'm working a lot of hours. I'm trying to get a place to stay. You cannot call my job. No, you messing around with somebody up there. I'm like, okay, that's it. Enough is enough. Every night I come home, you want to fight, you want to argue about me cheating. I don't have time for that. During that time, I went upstairs to check on my dad. A girlfriend called me from school. She the one hired him and gave him that job. She called and she told me that he had one last check. And I said, what you mean one last check? She's like, he never came and picked up his last check. He had been terminated 2 months prior.
So you were married 5, he worked 3.
He was leaving out every day telling me he was going to work and he was not going to work. He was terminated.
Did you leave him that night?
That night is when the incident happened
Oh,
because I choose to leave.
can you tell us the
After,
incident?
oh yes, after I got that, I went downstairs and I told him, I said, I'm gonna need you to call your mom or your friend, your sister, whoever you're gonna call. You got to get out of here tonight. You can't stay here. The marriage gonna, I don't know what it's gonna be. Maybe we can go down there and see if we can get it annulled or whatever. But I don't think I want to be married to you because right now I'm trying to hustle and get things done. You want to fight and argue and worry about who's cheating. I just got out of a situation like that. I don't have time for it. He wanted to talk. I did not want to talk. So he didn't want to leave. I went upstairs to tell my cousins to tell him, he had to leave. So one of my cousins came downstairs like, man, if she don't want you here, you have to go. He was like, okay, I'm finna go. So he started getting his stuff out of the drawers, left as if he was finna go. So I'm like, okay, cool. I go upstairs to shower. I'm thinking everything's good. I get out of the shower, I come downstairs, and he still want to talk. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk. Just get your things. I walk in the bedroom. I threw he threw as my back was turned. He threw a shirt over my head. Threw me on the bed. He strangled me and started covering my mouth and strangling me. I started kicking really, really hard because there was like a dress on the side of the bed and there was like a champagne bottle up there in the glass or something. He was covering my mouth so my kids wouldn't hear me. So I started kicking the drawer really, really hard and the bottle fell. So I can hear my son like, Mom, what's going on? He said it like 3 times and I didn't answer. So by me not answering, I guess he wouldn't have told my daughter. My daughter was knocking on the door. They know something going on because they just hear the hustling. By
What
that,
what is her age at this time?
my daughter, oh, maybe 24,
At that
maybe.
time?
hmm Maybe 24. My youngest was 12 at the time. Yeah, my youngest was 12. Maybe she was in the early 20s. Early 20s she was. So she kicks the whole door down. I don't even know where she got the strength from, but she kicked the whole door down. She kicked the door down. Her and my son came in there. They grabbed him off of me. My son grabbed another one of the bottles on the Chester and hit him with it. My daughter had a broom. They was just going at it, just beating him upside the head with it. They got him up off me, and of course, I'm trying to catch my breath. I can't breathe, So they beat him out the back door. He runs out of the back door. By the time I run to the back door and look down the alley, he's gone. So I tell my daughter, call the police. By that time, I go upstairs check on my dad because my dad is almost 90. He couldn't come downstairs. He's wondering, hey, you okay? What's the commotion? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling him, okay, everything's good. We got into a fight, but everything's good. And he's like, are you okay? You coughing? I said, no, I'm not, but I will be. My grandson was small at the time, and his little brother was a baby, maybe just at a year old. And he came upstairs. He said, Grandmama, the baby is about to fall out the bed. Come get the baby. I said, okay, Dad, I'll be back. Let me go downstairs and get the baby. So I go downstairs. I can remember going down off the last step. I took maybe 3 steps, and I just felt the impact. The impact spent me around. I can remember doing this because it felt like my head was just getting super huge. And then everything went black. By everything going black, I can hear people. I can hear what's going on, but I can't see anything. I can't move. I'm trying to move my hands. I'm trying to move my head. I'm trying to get up. I couldn't, it's like I couldn't move at all. I hear my kids screaming. I hear my cousins, they all screaming, calling the ambulance. I'm just laying there hearing all this commotion and I can't even move my body.
So what did he hit you with?
He hit me with a bat.
How hard did he hit you?
He hit me pretty hard where my head was split from here to here, where the skull was exposed, where the skin was pushed back, the flap was hanging here. So all of that was exposed. According to my son, I think he hit me like twice.
And he broke the bat in
The
half.
bat was in like 4 pieces.
Okay.
Yeah. And according to my son, the last little piece that he had in his hand, he was gonna hit me again. And my son came down the stairs and saw it and jumped on him. And they got to fighting again. Again, he broke away, slung my son down on the floor, and ran out of the back door again. So everything else, from far as when I was hit, I can only tell you what I heard. Far as seeing, my son can tell you everything because he's seen everything.
All right. So now was he caught and did he do any time for that?
He's still in jail as we speak.
Okay, because you were in law enforcement at the time, so they charged him differently.
Correct.
How many surgeries have you had, and what's the extension of all the injuries that you've had?
The injuries that I have are I am deaf in my right ear. I have seizures, partially paralyzed in certain parts of my head and my face. I have nerve damage in my head and face. I had surgery on my eye to fix the eye. There was so much blood tissue, nerve damage in the eye. I had lost 35% of it, but they fixed majority of it, so it's just a 10% loss. Um, I had surgery on the nose because the sinuses was busted all up, and pretty much my hair in certain spots won't grow because the hair follicles and the nerve damage in my head.
Oh, your phone switched over. Yeah, it started over. You may just have to turn it off. You got to turn it completely off right now. Yep, just turn it off. Yep, or turn it down. So once again, while she fixed that, 708-223-8953 if you have any questions for Yvette. So right now, Yvette, just turn it down because we live.
Get your shine on.
Has a surprise announcement for us as well. So hold on 1 second. We got a 2-minute break.
One time. For the babies on the south side, the east side, the west side, the north side, Chi-Town. Hey, oh. Do, 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 do. There's a song in your song. It can flow from short to long. In your song, you are the story. Getting past your past, struggling with your past.
And welcome back to the Women of Wealth Show. We had to take a 2-minute break. We also have another guest on the show. Let me see if I can actually allow y'all to see all my guests. All right, Yvette, right now you were finishing up. What happened far as before we get to our guest? What happened once you actually got to the hospital? We kind of stopped there.
Mhm.
So you said right now he's still in jail. How did he get caught?
He tried to commit suicide. He went to one of his friend's house, and I don't know. I think it was bleach or pine sol or something that he drunk in the restroom. His friend's mother or grandmother found him on the floor and then called the police and the ambulance, and they took him to Jackson Park, I guess, because of the attempt suicide.
Oh, so he played like he was a psych.
Yes. Of course, when you go in a psychiatric facility, when you put your information in, they're gonna run a check to see if you're wanted by the police, and immediately they're gonna alarm the police of your location. And they did that. They allowed him to stay his time there, and once he was discharged to the detectives working the case.
Okay, and it's something that you told me. What did he say when the detectives came? What was the first thing he said to them?
The detectives asked him, "Do he know why he's being arrested?" And he said, "Yes, I killed my wife."
Oh, so that's what he thought. He thought he killed you.
Yes.
All right, so he's still locked up right now.
Yes.
Well, thank God for that. All right now, then we have a special guest. I'm gonna let Yvette tell you who he is. I met him the first time I met Yvette. I didn't know what he was gonna do the first time I met them. But right now, Yvette, can you go ahead and let us know who this person is sitting next to us?
This is my husband, Roy Hunter.
Okay, hey Roy. You know I got a lot of questions for you, Roy. I saw you sitting out here. The first time I met you, you proposed that night. The first time she told us her story.
Yes, I did.
Now, one of the things is you know everything that she's went through. What made you? And we said this before. What made you want to marry Yvette with everything she's went through?
Wow, it's a tough one. Well, I'm the type of person that believes that everyone needs love, regardless of what we go through. We all still need love, and just because we have one shot at it doesn't mean that that should be our last shot at love. You know, I'm a firm believer of love coming, love goes, and I have a lot of trials throughout my own personal life where I've been loved before and it hurted and I had to find out how to love again. So with that being said, I knew within myself if I was to ever meet someone, don't pass judgment because we all go through things. And with Yvette, she was a female who I always, like I said, went to school with her growing up in high school. That's how I knew her from at an early age in childhood and grade school. And graduating with her from 8th grade, graduating with her again in high school, I never thought that I would ever have the chance or an opportunity to see her again.
Oh, you had a crush. Sound like you had a crush.
I did.
He had a crush.
huge one.
708-223-8953. If anybody got questions for them.
Yes, I had a huge one. But as the time went on and down the line, we ended up reuniting again, and it was like a great thing to me. It really made me smile. I was sitting home bored. I never forget it. I was sitting home bored watching TV, and my phone rang. And when I looked down and seen her name, I'm like, Yvette? Really? Okay, let me see. I answered the phone. It was video call, and when I answered the video call, it was her. And I just smiled from here to China. I just had a big old Kool-Aid smile, as they say, on my face. And once we reconnected, it seemed like the love that I had on my end was there on her end as well. So putting a lot of feelings together, a lot of emotions together, a lot of things came out of it, and here we are.
Okay, well, I got questions for both of you. One of the questions is, did y'all go to counseling first?
No.
Marriage counseling to say, hey, all of us got a lot of baggage. Let's make sure we don't bring that to this marriage and this relationship.
No, we didn't go to counseling, but we do have an understanding with each other that we wouldn't go to bed angry with each other. We don't argue. We don't fight. We don't do any of those kind of things. We have an understanding that if we not seen eye to eye, we pull each other's coattail to the side and we sit down and we talk about it and get to a nice solution quick. We don't try to let it linger, because I'm a firm believer when you let things linger, they tend to get worse. I like to nip things in the bud just as they're happening to continue to keep a nice and happy day and a nice and happy life.
Okay. You want to comment as well?
I agree with him. I agree with him. We like to tackle it right at the beginning. We don't want to have nothing lingering on. Because of him going through things, me going through things, we definitely don't want to do that. Because me, and I know sometimes I can be difficult, and I know I can because of what I've been through.
Hold on, I see him smiling over there. So I'm gonna get back to you because
I know I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's easy with me. It's not. I have my days, and he asked me, what's wrong with you? Do we need to have a talk? And that's what solves the issue. We talk about it, and that's just it. Let it go.
do you feel like maybe you need to maybe go back to counseling for just going through so much? Do you feel like you may need that again?
My counselor is always on standby. Trust me. She knows I'll come back in a heartbeat. Once I feel that I can't handle it, I will call her in a heartbeat. No secret. I still have her number on standby.
Would you go to counseling with her?
Sure.
All right. Now I saw him, moving his face around a little bit. The brother was over there moving his face around when he said, "Yeah, she can be difficult." Do you feel like you got your hands full because she went through so much?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say I have my hands full. I'll say it's a new experience. I'll say it like that. And the reason why I would say it's a new experience because everyone is different first and foremost. But to date someone who is a domestic violence advocate, that's when the difference comes in. Because although we all different, we all go through problems. Dealing with a domestic person is a little bit more different than dealing with someone who's just been hurt or just had a bad relationship. It's totally two different things and a big difference. It
Can,
really is.
can you explain what's the difference
Well,
from your standpoint?
from my standpoint, it is a big difference. And the reason why I say that, the difference is when you have a relationship that's a normal relationship, it's easy to have a disagreement and say what you want to say, and that's that. But when you're dealing with someone who has a domestic background, you can't just say what you want to say, and that's that, because that tends to trigger them or send them backwards to what they've been through before. And when they was looking and loving you as the person that they loved you, now they're looking at you as one of the enemies who brought them through some of the stuff they went through. So it's challenging, but I'm cool with it. I can deal with it. But it's challenging though, because you have to know what to say and when to say and how to say what it is you're trying to say. You can't just say it, because dealing with a person who has been domestically abused, their feelings are very sensitive. And when you just come out and say things, to you, it may be right, but to them, it's the wrong thing to say or the wrong way to say it. You have to find ways to connect with them. And if you're not a very patient person, dealing with a person who has been abused, me personally, get out of it, because you're not only going to hurt yourself, you're going to end up hurting the person who has been domestically abused. You're going to hurt them worse. So if you're dealing with someone who has been domestically abused and it's that much frustrating, trust me, I get it. I know. Get out of it, because at that point you're stressing yourself. And when you stress yourself to try to make something work that you want, it's not going to work because you're forcing it. You have to let it just happen. And a lot of things don't let just happen if you don't have the motivation and the strive for it. And I have the motivation, the strive, and the love for her. So whatever that's thrown at me, I'm willing to accept it and deal with it with her.
Okay, look at him. Okay.
That's love.
All right, that's love. And you don't hear it placed in those words sometimes from men. So it seemed like you were ready for battle. You have your armor on and you kind of ready to deal with whatever comes your way.
Yes, I mean, on another note, also, I've wore her shoes before, so I would consider myself as a domestic violence person as well, but not so much as her. But I do understand and I get it because I've been down that road of being abused verbally and mentally as well. So I do understand what it feels like to be in those shoes as a abused domestic person.
Now, I'm proud of you for saying that. The fact that you had the courage to say that, because a lot of men act like nothing bothers them. So we as women sometimes don't think of how rough our tongues could be.
Oh,
So
Lord.
I guess those leave as many scars if she felt like she experienced, along with women saying negative things to you. Do you feel like you've actually went through a domestic situation as well?
I do.
Do you
I
feel
do.
like things that were said and done to you hurt just as much as what she went through?
Yes.
All right, so y'all kind of
I mean, because I'm human just as well as she is, and I have feelings just like she does. Granted, our feelings are different and we feel different ways, but I'm human and I have a heart, and no one's living or have a heart don't want their heart broken. And I'm just like any other human. I don't want my heart broken, but it has happened. So I had to accept it, deal with it, but I learned from it. So I wouldn't say I hate that it happened. I'm glad it happened because that was a learning method for me within my life, so I know what to do and what not to do if I'm ever in that particular situation again.
so it prepared you to have a vet in your life.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get counseling or therapy for what you went through? Because it sounded like whoever that was, it sounded like they hurt you as well.
No, I just learned from what I went through and prayed that I never have to go through it again.
Okay, so no screaming in the house.
Now we don't do that. We don't know.
A vet, you don't scream.
No.
Mm-mm.
When you're screaming, you can't understand what anyone is saying. So if we're not talking, that's why when I say talk, I always say it in a way that it sticks out. We talk to each other. A lot of people have methods and ways of their definition of talking, but to us, talking is just that, talking. No profanity, no yelling, just sitting down, coming to a set, coming together as one so that I can get what I need to get out, she can get what she need to get out, and we just talking. There's no yelling, no battle match where, okay, well, you said it like that, well, I'm gonna say this to get back. No, that's immature. And when you are two adults should talk like two adults and get an understanding like two adults.
So if somebody else was in this environment or in this situation, what advice would you give them to help
Patience
them?
is key. Patience is key. If you don't have patience, and one thing that everyone has to understand is everyone you come into contact with is not going to be someone you like. May not be right away. You might not like them right away, but you have to give things time. And if you don't give things time, you'll never understand or really know who it is or what it is you're getting yourself into. When you rush into things, you're doing just that. You're rushing the entire relationship, you're rushing the whole everything, and you're going to hit a dead end faster than you want because you're rushing. You have to sit down and, as they say, let time take its course. And when you don't let time take its course, nature will run all over you.
Now I do have one question. She came back. She had just got out of this situation. I did ask her the question before. Do you feel like you just gotta have a man? Do you feel like you just gotta have a man in your life to make you feel complete? Do you feel like y'all rushed it because she came back to Chicago, y'all met back up again, and then y'all married? How long did it take y'all to get married before y'all start to get to know each other?
It was like a year and a few months
Mhm.
before we got married.
Mhm.
And generally, most relationships last 6 months and they get married, a year or two. But we waited a year, just about almost a year and a half before we got married to give us some time to learn things we didn't know about each other, get back used to each other, get back in the comfort zone of knowing, okay, I know that about her. She knows this about me, that graduate come together point. We gave ourselves a year and a half of that. And after that, We didn't have any bad feels, no bad falls, no downs. Some folks within 6 months they got 5 or 6 downs they didn't hit, or not even together. But for us to make it a year and some change and not have one down, that was magnificent to me. I knew then this was the one.
So where did y'all get married at, and how long now have y'all been married?
We went down and eloped in Las Vegas, and we've been married since May 5th, 2022.
Okay, so y'all still newlyweds.
Yes.
Mhm.
You ain't pregnant, are you?
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
Just checking. So how many kids do y'all have all together?
Oh, I got
My
3.
5 as 8.
Oh my goodness, y'all like doing it. Both of y'all like to do it.
Oh, well.
I got 3.
I-
He got 5, and grandkids. He just have 1.
3.
3? Is it 3?
No,
I got
we have 1.
I
I'm
got
thinking about
5.
something else.
Finna be 7.
You got 7 grandkids?
About to be.
About 7. All right. What did your kids say under the circumstances, and your kids saw your abuse all these years? Did your kids feel like, hey, Ma, you rushing it again? Here we go again?
My kids, after the second incident and this with the bat, my kids are still scared. They
How old are they now?
they are afraid for me to even meet anybody or even be with anybody because of the things that took place, you know. My daughter is 28. I have another son who's 25, and my youngest is 20.
Okay. And everybody is okay though with your
Yeah,
husband?
they're okay with him.
All right.
Yep.
Is your family okay with her, considering her situation? Because she is an advocate for domestic violence. So that means you guys' relationship actually is an open book to people.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
So your family is okay with you being with her as well?
Sure, yes, they do. I come from a background of being in church all my life. So I have a very understanding family that, understands no one's perfect and we all go through things. So with that being the type of family I come from, she really didn't have a hard time adapting or people liking her or anything. Due to the fact that she is who she is in life, that really spoke volumes also for her. So yeah, my family is head over heels for her.
Okay, now I got a question for you. You stated that you was in a verbal relationship that woman really treated you horribly. Have you ever hit somebody? Have you ever hit a woman?
I've been down that road before. Yeah, I have. I can't lie. Yes, I have. I didn't like it. It wasn't nothing that I wanted to do. But when you push to certain levels of things happening to you, you're only going to take so much. I understand and I get it. A man putting his hand on a woman is wrong. Yes, it is. But women need to understand, just like men are that we supposed to respect women and keep our hands off women. That should be a vice versa statement where women should keep their hands off men. And it's not cool for a woman to say, well, you're not supposed to put your hands on me, but yet you study beating me upside my head with things like I supposed to just sit there and take it. No, that's not going to happen. So when that type of things are happening, you're going to get a reflex of,
Because
coming
it's
at you.
treated differently. Because now
Right.
I see on Facebook women are trying to knock me in unconscious.
Exactly.
And he got up and he knocked her
right,
to the floor, and she
that's
said,
what
"How could
happened.
you do that to me?" So I'm seeing. I did not know that happened as much as it do.
No, it does. It does.
Especially pregnant women. They feel like since they're pregnant, they have a
Right.
that nobody's
And
gonna.
just as a man in our own defense as men, it's a catch-22 for us because, we can sit there and get beat on all day. The police come, they don't do nothing. But the first time we blow at a woman, we going to jail. I don't think that's fair. We get penalized to the third degree if we yell at a woman. But if a woman yell at us or beat on us, it's swept under the rug. I don't like that. And I speak that for a lot of men who didn't wore my shoes or experienced what I've experienced. I speak for them as well because that's not right to us. I mean, where are our rights? As men, we have rights also, and just to sit back and accept that, I don't think that's right or fair.
Okay, right now we have a lot of women listening. So what would you like to say to us as women? What do we need to do to check our mouths, and what do you feel about that?
Well, re- respectably saying to women, I would say try to calm down and give a man a chance. All men are not bad. And just because you've experienced a bad seed in your life once or twice before doesn't mean every man you come across is bad. Granted, we may say or do things that may raise an eyebrow, but that doesn't mean right away penalize that man for whatever you feel that he's doing. Everyone deserves a chance. And most importantly, if you having a rough time with your man or spouse, sit him down and talk to him. Come to a conclusion where y'all can come to some type of solution to narrow all the negativity out of the relationship. That should work. And if that don't work, then right away, that should raise an eyebrow on the other end to let you know, hey, I raised one to give him a chance. Now I got to raise the other one because he still ain't changing. Maybe I need to get out of this. Because all the abuse and arguing isn't going to do anything but end up having one of the two hurt or one of the two in jail or dead. And that's not what love or a relationship supposed to be like.
That is excellent advice, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, right now we're going about to wrap it up. Yvette, did you have any last words you kind of wanted to say?
I don't.
Because I see you are a romantic. You're going to keep trying. And I see you look like you got it right this time. Y'all seem like a very beautiful couple together. So I just wanted to thank y'all for coming on. I may have you come back because you know it's a lot going on with the McDonald's bag and helping other kids and with the hidden and the beating.
Seen that.
So right now
It's
I probably have y'all
on that.
It's a debate. So right now I just want to thank y'all for coming on. Thank you for having the courage to talk and tell us,
No problem.
you know, and always thank you. I love you.
Thank
I
you.
see you at the domestic violence
Yes,
in
ma'am.
October. So thank you everybody for tuning in to the Women of Wealth show. We see you next week. Bye-bye.
One time. For the babies on the south side, the east side, the west side.